giveaway. If you haven't seen it already, it's on our Twitter. Go there now. Links down below. Don't forget, we're going to be doing them every single podcast until the game releases. We're going to be giving away these shirts right here. I'll let you see the back. It's on the Twitter.
Oh.
Go there right now. We're going to be, right after the interview, we're going to be doing our first announcement for the winners, and we're going to be doing them out throughout the podcast. So make sure to go do that. Speaking of, Fickle, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Happy to be here.
Good. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
My name is Fickle. The platypus usually gets cut off because it doesn't fit on camera. I have been doing esports production, commentary, casting, tournament organization for about 3 or 4 years now. And this is a game particularly that I'm looking at in the future because it has a lot of good things going for it. We'll get into that a little bit later. Just more about myself. I started with Rocket League, and I was doing a lot of Rocket League casting and broadcasting in the very early parts of Rocket League, and I still do some of it to this day. The most recent one, I was at DreamHack Dallas for the pro circuit, and as well as I do a bunch of admin and production stuff for Twitch and like contract stuff. So I was recently at TwitchCon doing some of their adminning and production for their LAN section. So that's a little bit about myself.
Sounds good. And you said that you do a lot of stuff in like esports and whatnot. So regarding like your experience with esports and like Rocket League and whatnot, how do you think the esports scene fares with World Champions coming out soon?
So there is, I mean, the game's obviously not out, but there are a lot of things that I've learned from developing esports communities that are going to be important. And I think probably the most important thing when it comes to trying to develop an esport is community. You can't rely on the developer to just create the scene for you. There has to be like a core base that already wants to do it, and the developer just has to support that. And from when I was talking to Stefan at PAX West, and he said it's something that we're looking into, and we would love it if it happened, but we can't force it. And I think that's the exact perfect sentiment you have to create a very robust esports community. Because even at like I always gonna use Rocket League as a parallel. The esports Rocket League scene started with a couple of really dedicated people running tournaments every weekend, and as well as like being this mass conglomerate of people that just wanted to play the game at a high level. And it wasn't until the very first season of RLCS, but that was like maybe 8 or 9 months after the game had already been released. So it's going to be up to the community to develop that on the front end. So that is something I'm particularly looking forward to, is helping, and I'll help out where I can. There's certain pitfalls that lots of things go through, and I'm pretty excited when the game finally releases because it has a lot of good things going for it that I think it's going to be one of those next games that they do it right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the esports for the game, obviously, like you said, it's gonna be a two-way street. It's gonna require coordination with both a large community and a lot of people doing these weekly tournaments, whether like assuming they use custom games and this dev team maybe putting money into it, giving it a lot of attention, building it from the ground up. And I hope to see a lot from it, and I hope to see you at the head of it all, whether it be casting it or running these tournaments. It's good to see you. Any final thoughts?
So just some things that I'm more excited about for the game, and I think I'll talk about like what makes a title successful in esports. I think there's like 3 major contributing factors. The first one is player base. Every game that you see as a successful esport has a really, really big player base. Like all the tier 1 esports, like I'm talking League, Dota, Counter-Strike, all the tier 1s, they have millions of people playing the game. And I'm not sure if we'll get to that millions point, but that brings me to my second point. It's like, how well can you keep your community playing the game? Because like Rocket League, I would put probably like a tier 2. It doesn't have the huge population that Counter-Strike or League or any of those games have, but it does have the most dedicated player base because there really isn't a lot of competition in the game genre. And Roller Champions might be that competition. And the third thing that really makes esports games thrive is excitement and understanding of a casual audience. So something that Roller Champions does very well is when you pick up the game, it's fun, it's very colorful, it has a lot of great mechanics behind it, but it's also not that complicated. It's not really that hard to understand from a very simple level. When I was playing at PAX, I was jumping in with people that have never played the game before. They're demoing the product on the floor, and they jump in and they just instantly start, moving the joysticks around and feeling it and rolling around. And I can see from their faces they just have a smile from just rolling around, and it's just fun to kind of go through the lanes and whatnot. As I was explaining to them the more complicated mechanics of the game, they're like, "Oh, this is more depth than I thought it was," and I think that's a really important factor. The number one important thing that I wish to stay in the game that makes esports entertaining is that at any moment, and you see this across any top tier one esport, Counter Strike, League of Legends, Counter Strike, League of Legends, Dota 2. At any point in the game should never be out of reach. There should never be a time when you're like, man, this game is over. It's done. That makes esports really really dull. So I think the whole like 3 laps, 5 goals mechanic should stay in the game, whether or not you want to increase the cap or whatnot. But I think that is something that should stay in the game. And if you want to stay up to date what I'm doing with esports, I'm usually pretty active. I'll probably be at DreamHack Atlanta coming up very soon. And if you want to follow me at @fickle_platypus on Twitter, it's pretty much my it's on Instagram as well as Twitter and YouTube and Twitch as well. And that's about me. So if there's any other questions, just let them rip. Like if you guys want to know like more about esports and stuff like that, I'm always here to talk to.
Very awesome. Very awesome.
You got something, Zyber?
Yeah, I'm just thinking like I know Rocket League. The big thing about Rocket League is just the fact that you can watch the esport with really having like no prior understanding before the game. So I think that's probably going to be a big thing going for Roller Champions. And I know you were mentioning that, so I just wanted to emphasize that fact that that's probably like a pretty huge thing, because I know when I first started Roller Champions, like watching that video at E3, I really had no idea what was going on in the actual gameplay trailer, and then you hop into the game and you just instantly have an understanding of what's happening. So hopefully that really like boosts the esports scene in that game quite a bit. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now we already have quite a large community built in both Discord servers as well. So when you say that it's got to come from the community wanting an esports scene, do you think that we'll have to like keep building our community, or would you say that what we have right now would kind of give Ubisoft that little notice to say, oh wait, hold on, they do really want an esports scene?
It has to be bigger than it is now. I mean, there's only so much you can do with a non-product of a game, but something that really helps that out is people that have experience with doing esports. And I'm talking about like not only just running, monthly or weekly tournaments, but also promoting things on social medias as well as being in contact with the developers. And if you remember all the way back in 2015, whenever Rocket League released, there was no actual custom lobbies. There was no like private games.
Yeah.
It was for the first, I believe it was for the first like 5 months. It was literally only just public matchmaking. And I feel that as a developer, it's something that you really don't you really don't put high on the priority list, because you want to make sure that the public matchmaking experience is good for everybody. So I have a feeling there's going to be a time that it couldn't be and it couldn't be, but there might be a time when the game doesn't really have a private lobby system, and you'll have to at that point you just have to resort to making content. You have to just set things up the way they would be in public matchmaking. And if the MMR system, if there is an MMR system, is still working the way it is, what you could do is you could do like queue snipes. So like everybody queues all at once and tries to get like a higher level lobby, just as an interim for running tournaments and etc. But it has to be bigger than it is right now, because at the moment there's literally nothing, can't do anything. But that's not to say that this group of the small people that played the tech alpha are not going to be like on the forefront of building that community.
Definitely. All right.
Oh, well, that sounds
Sounds very good.
sounds like a good time to wrap it up. Thank you, Fickle Platypus, for
Yeah,
coming out. It was good talking
Thank
with you. It was
you.
good. Yeah, it'll be good to see you and everyone in the esports community. Hopefully, building this up when the game comes out. And it's been good. Thanks for hanging out with us.
All right, thanks for having me. I'll make sure to follow me on Twitter. When the game releases, I'll be making a lot of content as well. I've been doing the stuff on Reddit in the interim. Go look at that because it's really good stuff. But I think that's going to be it for me. So I'm going to head out. And thanks, everyone, for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Okay,
Awesome.
now that you guys can hear me, it is time to actually announce the winner of the shirt. So we did a random number generator, went through everyone who did the giveaway on our Twitter, and the winner for the first shirt is going to be Delphi5584 on Discord. We will contact you directly on Discord after the podcast is over, and we'll get your information and get that all set up. Reminder that we are reading chat, so I see you guys, Arnav, Psychos, Shockwave. I see you guys, Belk Lion. We see you guys, and we're gonna be and we'll if we see something worth talking about, we'll talk about it. No worries. Now to talk about the forum that we talked about, we released a community forum via the Twitter and the Discords, and we wanted to get some responses from you guys. First, we started off simple. How'd you guys enjoy the game? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most you've enjoyed a game ever. And out of all the responses, it's an overwhelming like 9.6, which is amazing. I mean, we did put the forum in a community where everyone kind of already enjoyed the game, but it's good to see a couple people saying, it could have been a little bit better, and I agree. I think personally, I put it at like an 8.5. Obviously, there were like minor issues, and obviously there wasn't a full game, but the way it was in the pre-alpha build was really good. I don't know. What would you rate the game, Zyber, from your experience?
I mean, I think I'm kind of biased because I really enjoyed the game. So I'd probably say like a 9 or a 10.
I think we all did. Yeah.
Yeah. I just found it was really easy to, kind of just sit down and play it for hours and hours on end. Although I didn't get to play a whole lot of the game, I did really have a fun time while I was playing. So I'd probably give it like an 9 or 10, somewhere around there.
Solid 9.5 average. What about
you?
You wrote Mercia as well.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at it from a bit more critical point of view as well. Kind of like Psychos said in our chat. It's like an 8 to 9, 10. But there needs to be some changes. Not like necessarily in a bad way, but obviously it's still quite early. I did really enjoy myself, so I would rate it like 8 or 9 possibly, because 10 means it's perfect the way it is, like no changes needed, it's perfect. Whereas obviously there will be needing some changes, but
of course,
for what we have right now, like at the pre-alpha stage, I would already vote it as an 8 or 9, definitely. Yeah.
And of course, it's in the pre-alpha stage. They've got a lot to add to the game. They've got a lot to change. But just looking at the responses, the next question we asked, which was not necessarily the biggest question, but we wanted to get your idea of like what you liked and or maybe disliked most about the game. And just a couple, one of the things that stood out to me that was just like, it's like everyone loved people like the fast-paced gameplay, kind of like in Rocket League, where you don't really have this time where you can just like relax unless it's between goals, and even though then it's a short time, it's very fluid. Like you can move like extremely fast. Like it almost creates a gameplay that you can play on your own. There's multiple different play styles. Obviously, as we get progressive more in the game, we may develop more of like a competitive meta, but even then, I think this game gives a lot of freedom for a sports game, and that's what I like most about it personally. It gives the most freedom for a sports game because it's unique. It's a very unique game.
Yeah.
So I think that's fairly similar to like why Rocket League is so popular. I think because like you have freedom to basically do whatever you want, and then there's like the team play dynamic behind it as well. And those kinds of games are really enjoyable in my opinion.
Yeah, we have got a couple votes for saying, it's original, it's a unique idea. It's a new concept, a new sport, which I definitely do agree with. It's just something new, it's not something that everyone else has already done before, which I do really like about the game as well.
Yeah, and let's not forget, obviously this game's not perfect, but one of the most common things that we saw that we disliked about the game was the dodge mechanic. And
Yeah.
although during the pre-alpha the dodge mechanic wasn't great, they did obviously release on the Reddit that they had the clip of Dodge God getting knocked down by another player and showing that the dodge is no longer invulnerable. Let's per se, like it's not gonna you can't just dodge through people that are trying to knock you down, and you have to wait before you had to wait for them to dodge and then go at them. But hopefully that will change. Now it's more of a like a positional maneuver more than just running through the enemy team and keep going kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like Craftis is saying in chat, it kind of feels like Warframe's Lunaro, which is where they try to do their own version of Rocket League, where you're just your character, you've got a ball, you need to throw it to a hoop. Right now, that's kind of a dead like mini game inside the main game, but it is kind of in the same concept um, as Roller Champions as well, except you're on skates, which is great.
Anything you disliked about the game, Zyber? Maybe you just like didn't feel right, or think that should have been there.
Personally, I didn't really have any dislikes about the game. Like, I mean, the dodge pissed me off multiple times.
Yeah, I feel like that was the main concern. I feel like the other thing was that personally, as well as I think of other few people, were having trouble with like frame issues and stuff like that and
Yeah, I
performance.
never had those issues, which I was
From
kind of surprised about.
Personally,
No,
on
I didn't either.
Acapulco, I almost never had performance issues, but Mexico, I don't know if it was the million flashing lights or just the way it was made, it was always causing frame issues, and there was zero way for me to stream it. Like it made everything 10 times worse. It made Acapulco lag. And
Well, I'm sure those will be optimized though.
of course, that's just something like it's the base game. They're not worried about performance issues. They're worried about having a sound game that people can enjoy, just like learning it and seeing how people react.
Yeah.
And
just thinking about the Mexico arena, the reason it might have been like a bit laggy for some people and not for others. Like I did not experience the frame drops myself either, just like Zyber just said. This could be down to like whether your PC can handle it, because there are a lot more textures, a lot more lighting effects, a lot more flashy bits in the arena that will up the performance needed to run that map, but that can easily be optimized, like Cyber said. So.
Yeah,
of course, there's many games that have issues like that and manage to fix them. Cough, PUBG. But the main thing, and I totally forgot about this. Thankfully, someone brought it up in the response form. The music was amazing. Every single song on that album,
it was great.
Was fantastic. It always kept me like this game created so much hype while playing it, and it was like 50% the game and 50% just the soundtrack, just pumping you up. Like it didn't even matter if you weren't the one that scored the goal. You were still like, all right, let's keep going because this music.
Yeah.
Every single song, it was like Superstar, Don't Let Me Down by the Chainsmokers. So that song by Let's Eat Grandma.
So many good songs. Yeah.
I found like with a lot of these kinds of games, like I'm gonna keep going back to Rocket League because I've invested a lot of my time into Rocket League. When the game first started, like the one song that you got every single time you went to the main menu was like it just kind of resonated in my head every single time I got on. It made me excited to play the game, and it kind of seems like with the songs that are coming on the on Roller Champions, like it kind of gives me that same feeling. So I'm hoping that I can kind of convert what Rocket League was doing into Roller Champions and get the same kind of hype as I got over there.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna take a short break to announce the second winner of the T-shirt. If you're not here, keep in mind we will talk to you in Discord. But the second Discord name that won is Spooky Tech 9345. Congratulations, you are the second winner of this wonderful T-shirt.
Hey.
So like I said before, we will contact you on Discord, and we will get your information. We will get that. GG to Spooky, and of course, reminders to our first winner, Delphi. You're also a winner, and we'll not.
Okay.
We'll have one more winner at the end of the podcast, so stay tuned for that. And now the big part. This form, one of the big things we've kind of mentioned in previous podcasts that we were all thinking about. What like from this game should we add to it? Like as like a community, like we've got all these different brains. Like the dev team, they've got some big brains. They've got a great team of people who are going to make a fantastic game. But you can only think of so much stuff. And so we reached out to you guys. And we said, hey, give us ideas. What could you possibly put in this game? And we got some good ideas. I remember we've had some ideas like a hub in the beginning and stuff like that.
I still really like that idea because I play Monster Hunter World a lot, and I think it will just kind of round up like the gameplay of it. It will just make it look like all together, especially if you've got like this kind of hub idea in a multiplayer area. That you can see your friends, you can see what they look like, and everything like that. I think it's a really, really good idea.
Yeah. Someone actually put on here, what's the biggest change you want? They put a proper spectator camera. Actually, if you watched, if you got to get a sneak peek of the tournaments that they did, both at E3 and at PAX, they actually had a really cool spectator mode. They had this,
a drone.
This drone. Yeah, they had this like white, weird looking drone that they would fly around the arena, and they actually it would look like a really good spectator mode. I don't know. I don't think that was in the pre-alpha, obviously. I think that was a separate build that they had for those. But that was one of the things that stood out to me. Like, with spectating, it makes me think the custom games and maybe even replays are going to be definitely something that are available to the public when it first releases, and that gives me a lot of hope.
And it gives you a lot of like different mobility that you get in a lot of different games. The way you can spectate the games is a lot different. It's unique to other esports, hopefully.
Another common thing that I see a lot is customizable characters, which we're all hoping for secretly. I really hope that's going to be a good system, like a lot of say.
I think like what Psycho said, he says, I want a unique arena for each city. Now, there's two ways you can go about this. You can either have the same size, like the same shape as Acapulco, Mexico for all of them, just have like really cool and unique backgrounds for all of them. Or you could even have like this separate queue for different arenas where they're not the base arena, they're not the standard play, but you have all these different arenas for different cities that are maybe non-meta ones that you could have fun with. Kind of a combination of a couple ideas that I've seen, where you could have, like we've all seen the map, we've all seen all those little blue dots on all the different parts of the world. We've kind of theorized where they're all going to be located, and the idea that maybe we could have like a few of them be like these meta competitive maps, like the one we played in the pre-alpha, and then have some other ones in like unique cities where they're unique maps, and they're like not necessarily in the ranked competitive mode, but they're there for people who want to play the game more casually and can have more fun that way. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think in previous podcasts we've also discussed, an idea of like an arcade mode where the arena might be different shape, might have some obstacles in the way or pickups that you can throw, kind of going from Rocket League's idea of some of the arenas as well.
What about you? What about you, Zyber? I haven't talked to you much about this. What's the biggest thing that's come to mind for World Champions? What's the things like, man, if this game had this, I'd be 100% sold. Like, I'm totally down. Not that you aren't already, but
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I guarantee it'll have this when the game is released, so I'm not too worried about it not having it.
Yeah.
But like I'm just a super competitive guy, so I just want to have like a really good ranked system.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like if I can just, be like one of the first people to be on the game, just grinding ranked as much as I can, like that's literally all I want. That's my biggest addition to the game. But I'm assuming that'll already be there, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, of course. And the rank system, a lot of games have rank systems, and these games have been out for so long that we're so used to the rank system. But keep in mind, a lot of games, including Rocket League, had a terrible ranking system when it first came out. Like it's like most games when they release a rank system, it changes multiple times. Like for instance, Overwatch, there was a time where you could go to 0 MMR and then go lose, and you'd go up to the top of the leaderboard. Like every rank system has its flaws at first, but eventually, I expect it to be not flawless, but workable. I know in the pre-alpha, people were having issues where they would win and lose MMR, which is that's just crazy. So yeah. While you're right, I expect a rank system. I expect it to be. I don't expect it to be perfect, but everyone's gonna start somewhere.
I'm not too worried about it either because Ubisoft has done that specific studio has done a really good job with other ranked games. So I'm fairly confident with the ability of the ability of the ranked system in this game.
Yeah. Do you think the way you find out your MMR will be a bit easier to find when
I definitely think it should be easier.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing until I just
didn't.
randomly went on Twitch to see the top Roller Champion streamer during the pre-alpha, and he had something where you could type in !MMR and it gave you all the instructions on how to go into your files and check your MMR. And I thought that was kind of a weird way to do it, but I mean, I guess it really wasn't intended to have an MMR system for that casual or for the pre-alpha. So I'm assuming that'll be something they add in the future.
I do have a question for both of you. Because obviously we both have the MMR system, which is how the ranked system worked in pre-alpha, but then we also have fans, the amount of fans you have. So having both these numbers, which both of them went up into the thousands, possibly, what is the difference, or what do you think the difference will be? Because obviously you've got the MMR for ranked gameplay, but then you've got the fans for what purpose? Because right now in the pre-alpha, if you had above a certain amount of fans, you could move on to the next arena. Do you think it's going to be in that kind of way, or?
Yeah, just like Psycho said in chat, fans is like a level. I think it's exactly that. I think fans is going to be your or your MMR is going to be your ranked, your competitive level in comparison to others. But I think your fans is just going to be your over time, your XP amount. Whether you can unlock all these stadiums per se, maybe. Although that might have just been the pre-alpha just to separate the newbies from the more experienced players. Although you could always do it that way, but that your fans is most likely going to be it could even be a casual MMR, but more likely just like an XP system.
Yeah, and if the higher you get, the more customizables and stuff you get, that would be a really cool way of doing that. I don't really see. I mean, I guess I didn't see a level system, so I guess fans is probably their interpretation of a level system in the game.
I just saw a comment in chat saying, imagine if fans was money, like you pay in blood. It's imagine that.
Just a reminder.
So we have got a question. Yeah, we have got a question from chat. Psychos is asking, what about coins, like a currency system in this game?
Are you referring to something like the V-Buck system where people can earn this somehow and then use it for special cosmetics or a roller pass?
Yeah.
I think if games nowadays and something like that, some sort of pass is really beneficial to the game, especially with a game like this where it's free to play already. If they implement something like that, I'm sure they will probably implement something like that because it's a really huge revenue booster for the game.
Oh right, he's saying you know where you could find your MMR? Close to that, it also had a coins currency already.
Oh, I didn't even notice
So
that.
it's
I didn't see
already
that either.
implemented into the game. Like
Hmm.
Psycho saying he had like 1.4 million coins. So I assume there will be some kind of shopping system where you will use this currency, which hopefully, fingers crossed, won't be premium currency and something you can earn through gameplay, which if it was indeed in that file, then yeah,
Yeah, of course.
conversion.
Oh yeah, just a quick reminder to people watching from the YouTube, we are streaming this live on Twitch, twitch.tv/RC Podcaster. And of course, if you're not here for the whole podcast, this is on YouTube. And for both people watching, we have a Twitter. Go follow it. All the links will be in the description and down below. And just a reminder, we are doing a giveaway for these beautiful shirts, and they're cool in the back. You can see the pictures on the Twitter with the giveaway. We'll be doing a giveaway every single stream. There it is. Cyber's got us with the Yumis. It's got a big Yumisan logo on the back. It looks amazing.
Ugh.
And
There you
Easy.
go. Flex.
Yeah.
and there's one more thing about the game I wanted to bring up before we maybe move on a little bit is later. Is the fact that the tutorial wasn't great. Like the tutorial,
Yeah.
Personally, I kind of skipped the tutorial because I'm not that kind of. I don't like getting told like how to do it. I kind of like figure it out on my own. But the tutorial wasn't great. I feel like there's a lot you can do with the tutorial.
It needs to be more interactive.
Yes, for sure. It needs to not only teach the base control to the game, but immerse you maybe with some bots, or I don't know, maybe even like a tutorial with players. Like you just like every time new players come on, you get thrown into this like game with people who just started playing for the first time. So when the game comes out, you're learning.
I really think the main problem with the tutorial was the fact that it was just like on the screen it told you press this button to do this action. It doesn't actually let you practice, which I think would have been very beneficial for a lot of people, myself included, because I expected, I get a practice run, at least, but being just thrown into gameplay with people who've already played the game for hours probably meant that a lot of people might have been slightly like pissed off or angry because some people just stand there not knowing what to do or doing something wrong, and then obviously you would have the higher ranked players versus players who've only just started with the game. So I think an interactive tutorial where you can actually practice would be a very, very good idea to have.
Yeah,
but I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Like what Rocket League has, like they have their training area where you can go into free play, just test your mechanics, test all this stuff. That would be really beneficial to the game, I think, and I could see myself spending a lot of time in that area. Like out of the 5,000 hours I have on Rocket League, I'm sure I've probably thrown in maybe 500 to 1,000 literally just sitting in free play trying to get these mechanics good so I can take those skills that I've learned there into the competitive setting. So I'm sure that'll be I'm sure that would be very beneficial if they somehow added something like that.
Of course. Now, if you guys have any final thoughts on like changes to the game, feel free before we move on.
Yeah. Shall we do the last giveaway, guys?
I suppose. Go ahead and turn my things up. So we just got word from our broadcaster. The third winner for the Yumisan Roller Champions official merch, given to us directly by the dev team. Discord name is Potato9015. That's a Potato9015. Congratulations. You are our third and final winner for this podcast. Thank you so much for going to the Twitter, filling out this thing. Don't worry, next podcast, we will do the giveaway again. If you didn't win, it's okay. You'll get another chance. Thank you to all who did the giveaway. And Make sure to go follow us on Twitter again if you haven't already.
Congratulations to I'm a Potato.
I'm a Potato.
I love that name. That's a great name.
That's a fantastic name. Potatoes in
It's
chat.
awesome. Yeah, so we have got more giveaways coming up, guys. The next podcast will have 3 more giveaways, so make sure you keep posted for those as well if you didn't win this time.
Now, a little bit of last bit of this forum that we did. We asked a couple more questions. One was, do you plan on playing Roller Champions competitively? Now, I'm actually surprised. This is more of an accurate representation of what I think it is. About 2/3 of the people said they planned on playing competitively, and then about 20% each said no or undecided. So it's that's about what I expected. I didn't expect everyone to want to play competitively, and of course, there's only like gonna be the top 1% playing in these competitive tournaments because we can't all be pro. But that's good to see that that there's at least a casual side of this game where people are like, yeah, I love playing this game, but I don't want to like spend half of my day practicing and making my fingers hurt from ducking over and over again to gain momentum. So that was the problem for me, but it's good to see that not everyone's like jumping onto this esports boat. That everyone's like, for now, I want to take this game casually and see how it goes, ride it out a little bit. But are either of you planning on doing this, like going into this as an esport?
Definitely. I see a lot of potential with it. And especially with these kinds of competitive games, if you wait too long, the skill gap is going to be super high, and it's going to be really difficult to catch up. So if you can get in at the beginning and get really good at the game before anybody else, you definitely have a better opportunity then to get yourself into a professional position.
Definitely, yeah. I think most of us here right now are planning to play this competitively at some point. So
yeah, definitely.
And I know our broadcaster Flurb definitely wants to play this competitively. As he wants to try to do a 24-hour release, 24-hour playing of the game upon release, which is crazy to say the least. But now
hashtag 24-hour squad.
Hey.
Now, the biggest thing at the end of this forum, we asked, would you like to see Roller Champions as an esport? And only 90% of you actually said yes. And although you can't expect everyone to want what you want, but I think this game has ridiculous potential. I don't think it's going to replace Rocket League, but I think a lot of people who are gonna be attracted to it who play Rocket League. I think a lot of people like in the community already who play Roller Champions have a lot of experience or are going into Rocket League because of Roller Champions. Like it's not that they're similar, it's just like they have this feel to it that it's so exciting. It's a lot to learn. There's so much you can do with the game, and
and you see players like KDOP, professional players from Rocket League, even coming over and being really good at the game as well.
Not just really good, top 20.
top 10.
Yeah, KDOP hit top 10 on the MMR leaderboards by the end of the pre-alpha, and that was right around the same time as RLCS, which he won, by the way. So if that doesn't say something, that doesn't create this big connection between these two games. And I'm sure there's a couple people who didn't want to see Roller Champions as an esport, but come on, it's doing great right now. The numbers and the money going into it, it's going to become an Olympic sport. Imagine if Roller Champions was on the Olympic stage next to Rocket League and like Overwatch or something. Like that's crazy. This game has so much ridiculous potential, and I personally am super excited for it.
Yeah, no, same here.
Yeah.
One debacle having in chat before we close up is microtransactions. That is one of the big things, and I know it's on everyone's mind. I know we all know this is
Yeah.
going to be a free-to-play game, and because of this, we are like, all right, how the hell are they going to make money? It's a free-to-play game, so of course there's going to be some microtransactions, but of course they're not stupid. They're not going to be microtransactions affect the gameplay. You would never do that. That ruins the game.
No.
The only games I can think of that are free and money can help you win the game is like stuff like League of Legends, where you can buy champions because you don't really start with
Yeah.
any. Whereas here, it's not about like every person individually. It's based on their skill, not based on the character they used. Because the
Yeah.
character in the pre-alpha was randomized, so
Yeah.
unless you got that short, fat, muscly dude, then you took down everyone. But
Yeah, it's a bit similar to Warframe as well because that's a free game as well, and you can buy like different Warframes and mainly customization, like the way you look with the premium currency, which you can buy with real money, but technically you don't have to because there's a really good trading system that you can effectively get everything from the game completely for free. It just might take a bit longer than if you were just to go to the shop and buy it, you know? So it's not really
Yeah.
pay to win, it's just a pay to win slightly quicker,
of
which
course,
I wouldn't mind a system like that, but thinking about like Assassin's Creed, which is a Ubisoft game, lately they've been adding transactions to get like things for your ship and different weapons that are quite strong as well, which I don't think is a good idea because obviously people will want to buy those new things because one, they look cool, and two, they're quite strong and good to have. But you can't actually get them in the game without paying for it, which I think is not a good system to have because you're gonna get a lot of angry people like we have in chat right now.
yeah. Of course, hashtag no loop. Yeah,
Well,
no,
I don't even see how like they could definitely bring in microtransactions, but I don't think like with a game like this that they would end up being pay to win, or it would end up being pay to win. Like unless they implement something um that like affects the gameplay, which I don't think they would.
Mm,
no, of course not. With a game like this,
no.
any money you put into the game will be 100% cosmetics. I know technically in Rocket League, while everything is cosmetics, there is a slight discrepancy with like hitboxes of cars, and obviously the Octane, which is a free to play car you get with the game, is idolizes like the most popular and the best car. But there are cars you can obviously purchase for just a couple bucks, and they're slightly favorable for some people, but pretty like 98%, it has nothing to do with the game. And something like this, there's nothing you could really add to the game that would not completely fuck it up. That isn't just like purely cosmetic. So
Unless they put like rocket boosters on your skates,
you have
I
to
don't
pay
think
for
anything's.
boost.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see like skins being
Yeah, no,
something they implement.
skins, like different helmets, different boots, like just
Yeah.
different characters, like just stuff like that. I expect you could maybe like assuming going back to like the whole XP thing, if you use XP to unlock arenas or do like certain challenges or something, you could maybe some people could maybe pay to unlock arenas or something a little faster. Like it's something you could easily do on your own, or you could use it to speed up the process. Obviously, it doesn't make you any better at the game, but you know,
Yeah.
just a couple
Chat
thoughts.
saying chat saying XP boosters they might or might not do because you are dealing with XP in this game.
Right, and like you said, XP doesn't really give you any benefits besides maybe unlocking arenas, unlocking
Yeah,
customization. So
yeah,
it would be like paying for the
yeah, yeah,
yeah, of course,
yeah,
or like a roller pass.
yeah. We have got a comment about loot boxes. Now, I do want to say, I highly doubt that we're gonna have loot boxes because loot boxes are getting banned in a
Yeah,
lot of countries right now. And so even Rocket League is now stepping away from the loot boxes because a lot of people can't open them anymore because the country has banned it now.
yeah,
So I really don't think that loot boxes will be a thing in this game. At least I hope not, because they'll really limit the amount of the player base, really, the amount of countries that will be able to fully enjoy the game.
yeah. And the big thing, along with the fact that countries also banning it, there's also a law in the U.S. as well, not banning it, but any game with a loot box in it has to have all the percentages for each item inside it or each rarity labeled on the crate before it is bought or opened. And at that point, it's so tedious to like release kind of data like that it's either going to scare away the person buying it, or it's just not going to be worth it. I think all games from here on out are going to move away from loot boxes almost entirely. And while it's not going to end microtransactions by any means, because people have to make money off free-to-play games, right? So I'm totally fine. Well, I'm totally fine with microtransactions as long as it has no effect on the game. I'm all game for cosmetic stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap up. Thank you guys, each and every one of you, for hanging out in the chat, for talking with us, for just giving us ideas to talk about. If you're on the YouTube, like I said, we stream it on the Twitch live stream every month, pretty much first, second Sunday. All updates will be on our Twitter. Go follow our Twitter, follow the Twitch, subscribe to YouTube. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you, Mercia. Thank you, Zyber.
Yeah.
Hope you guys had a good time. Shout out to our broadcaster Flirt for doing all the behind the scenes stuff. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.